the verifiable lies that we have thus far been told by Turning Point USA themselves, which apparently they're trying to say it's off limits. So now you can't call out all these lies that Turning Point USA has told you. This is what they're trying to struggle session us into because Erika Kirk is now the CEO. So they're off limits. So they're allowed to lie. No.
And a lot of them, in a lot of cases, men who just cannot, understand why they're unable to control a woman in this case. Like, come on, we're all part of the right-wing movement. You should know your place, right? At the end of the day, come on, there's a hierarchy here. And Candace is like, yeah, the hierarchy's me, and then you. Talk about some right-wing infighting. Right now is probably, I would say, peak right-wing infighting. It is just unbelievable. Every single day that you go online, you'll see some brand new beef that gets started. Some of them I don't even think are real. I think they're just inventing them. They're just like pulling them out of thin air. Like the other day, I saw Alex Jones trying to start beef with Theo Von, even though Theo Von hadn't said anything about Alex Jones. But Alex Jones was just like, yeah, well, I was apparently invited onto a show, but now he's not going to invite me into a show anymore. That's because he's just telling the truth about Israel and Gaza. But I happen to be the only person who actually knows the truth about what's going on, so he can't bring me on because of the deep state. And then it's like, wait, what? Theo Von didn't say anything about Alex Jones, but Alex Jones has released multiple videos about him trying to pretend too that it's like, this isn't about clicks, this isn't about drama farming, this is just because the deep state is not allowing me to be on his show anymore. And it's like, no, motherfucker, you're just an asshole and people don't want to fuck with you because you're just a weird fucking racist piece of shit. I think that's about as far as it goes. You don't need more reason than that. Doesn't have to be a grand conspiracy, doesn't have to be the CIA, blah, blah, blah. Not to mention, Alex Jones, you are now a cheerleader for the deep state. All you do all day is fucking, run apologetics for Donald Trump, his fascist regime, or try to downplay Palantir and pretend like it's not that bad. So yeah, I have no pity for that. James Lindsay, if you don't remember him, because he's pretty much like fucking completely fallen from grace these days, he used to be probably the biggest right-wing pundit like 3 years ago who was spreading the groomer panic. The entire all trans people are pedophiles, all trans people are groomers, all gay people are pedophiles, all gay people are groomers. Very dangerous stuff that did result in a lot of people getting hurt, some people getting killed, and a lot of bomb threats, death threats, people showing up to children's books readings with guns and shit like that. And the wild thing was, all of them, from Haya Rychek to James Lindsay to every single person who was like Jack Posobiec doing this whole groomer panic shit, none of them are actually trying to stop the actual groomer cult, the elites, the shit that's going on right now. The whole Epstein stuff, they're all kind of radio silent on it. I haven't seen any of them really being like, well, it does look pretty bad. The guy that we backed, this Donald Trump dude, does kind of look like he is maybe the leader of the pedophiles. The pedophile's pedophile. Yeah, I mean, maybe not a bigger cover-up since the Catholic Church, to be honest with you, in human history, for just an unbelievable amount of pedophiles. But anyways, James Lindsay now is part of what is being called the woke right. Because James Lindsay has realized that the right, especially led by people like Nick Fuentes, other neo-Nazis, fascists, etc., turns out that they're pretty aggressively and hardcore racists. And now he's one of the people who's trying to be like, I don't know if we should fuck with Nazis, to be honest with you. And that's resulted in the other right-wingers being like, oh, so you're a soy cuck and you're woke. Because they don't know what woke means, but to them it's just a thing they don't like, so that's why they've invented even new terms. Like, they completely appropriated and bastardized the term woke from the black community, and then after taking it and destroying it, they've now transformed it and mutated it into strange fascistic garbage. So he's just saying, I'm going to point out slightly uncomfortably that a historical source for this line, America to the Americans, is the exact kind of context is Hitler's infamous January 1939 Reichstag speech. Matt is unlikely to know this, of course, and less likely to care. And then Matt Walsh writes, holy shit, now they're claiming that America is for Americans is a Nazi idea? We've reached a point where some, quote, conservatives throw the Nazi accusation around even more liberally and ridiculously than the left. Total insanity. And you know what I say to all this.
Let them fight.
That's right. Let them all fight. I don't know if you know this, but Ben Shapiro is realizing the hard way that what you try to introduce every kind of bigotry. Like, they thought the line would stop at a certain point. Totally cool if you have Matt Walsh on your show and he's really racist towards black people, really racist towards indigenous people, really racist towards Asian people. That's all fine and good. Homophobic? Yes, totally cool. Yeah, transphobic as fuck? Awesome, totally good. Do you think the Nazis stopped, though? Do you think there's an off switch to fascism? Turns out there's not. Yeah, it turns out white supremacists are actually white supremacists. I know. Shocker. They're all realizing that the hard way right now. James Lindsay posts this and then gets this and an 8,000 ratio to a Sydney Sweeney picture. My God. No, James, you're 100% this woman. And that's how almost everyone views you at this point. And it's really wild that she's like now the face of woke feminism to the right. Because like if you watch the whole Sydney Sweeney interview, she was glazing her. Like, she was being so nice, so friendly. She was actually giving her every opportunity to have an off-ramp to the whole, you know, white eugenics thing. Kind of being like, no, I didn't want to have to ask this, but I just have to say it out loud that some people, not me, but some people are saying that it's a little bit weird to, you know, make jokes about having superior genes if you're a white person in 2025. Is there anything you want to have to say to that community? And then Sydney Sweeney responds with, when there's something that I want to talk about, people will know. And that's just like, whoa, that's wild. She gave you such an easy off-ramp, you know? That's not a gotcha. It's just kind of a like, that was never my intent. Would have been a really easy answer. It was just a joke. I thought it was funny. That was what was proposed to me. That's why I did it. Would have been really easy. Most people would have been like, yeah, okay, fine. Again, just you know, not you know, being like, I'm gonna keep the far right at bay and not piss them off. But yeah, the ads speak for itself apparently. So there you have it. And now apparently all the right hate her as well. So I guess there's no pleasing them. But the bigger drama comes from Candace Owens. Candace Owens, who has left the Daily Wire and has now one of the biggest right-wing platforms on the internet. It's shocking, but yes, it's true. If you watch Candace Owens live streams, I say live streams in quotes because like she just does pre-recorded videos and then uploads them and says she's going live and all that kind of stuff. It's not like she's interacting directly with the audience and talking to them. But her live streams are getting over 150,000 live viewers on a regular basis. Not when there's like an election going down, not when there's like, you know, a special event. That's just her audience. She has done audience capture like no one's business. She has surpassed all of the Daily Wire. And I'd probably, I haven't watched Brett Cooper's live shows, but I'm guessing she's probably doing almost as good. It seems like, you know, Brett Cooper and Candace Owens, two women that the Daily Wire created, have become infinitely more powerful than the Daily Wire after leaving. And yeah, Ben Shapiro's having a lot of trouble right now. He doesn't know what to do because obviously there's a lot of people who are actual anti-Semites like Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens, people who actually spread racist conspiracy theories about Jewish people, and they're becoming super powerful, super big voices. And now there's the splinter because Tucker Carlson has pretty much endorsed having Nick Fuentes on his show and, you know, platformed a lot of his fucked up beliefs. And so, you know, it's not a surprise to me because I've been saying for a long time, Tucker Carlson's a white supremacist. It doesn't surprise me at all. I'm actually shocked it took him this long to bring on a white supremacist. And so that line has been basically now split down the middle where people are on two sides. You've got like Ted Cruz on one side with Ben Shapiro on that side. They're very, you know, pro-U.S. relationship with Israel. And on the other side, you have the people like Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens, who are now on one end saying that they are, you know, against the U.S. relationship with Israel, but it's also because they happen to also be anti-Semites, and they bought into the entire idea that, you know, to criticize Israel is to criticize Jewish people, so it's an effective way for them to criticize Jewish people in their totality. It's a mess. It's a big old Nazi mess. Whole bunch of Nazis got in bed with a whole bunch of fascists and you know, Christian nationalists and white supremacists and all this nonsense, and now all of them are basically fighting each other. And it's glorious. It's glorious. Every single minute that they fight each other, that there's a circular firing squad, is one less minute that they're spending going after trans kids. It's really, you know, you love to see it. And so I'm glad that the whole thing is playing out on a daily basis. But Tim Pool's not too happy. He says, Candace Owens' drama is probably the most demoralizing shit ever. It's true crime soap opera drama that isn't helping anyone. It's not advancing policy goals. It's just shock content. Arsler. Oh, the quartering's here. Don't forget, it's actively trying to destroy Charlie Kirk's legacy. She's not trying to get to the bottom of anything. She's literally making stuff up. She's been caught lying multiple times. It's a massive distraction and divisive and demoralizing, and that's part of why it's working. And it's like, always has been. You were completely fine if she was, lying about black people, about the Black Lives Matter movement and its purpose, about the industrial prison complex, any of that kind of stuff. That you were all completely fine with. If she's very, very homophobic, if she's spreading a whole bunch of transphobic fucking lies, that shit, you were all fine with that. You loved it. Again, it's one of those situations where now it's like, oh shit, now we're all fighting each other. I wasn't expecting that. But that brings us to this. Mike Serenovich, another fucking professional weirdo. Charlie was about to lose his last major donor because he refused to ban Tucker Carlson from events. There are a lot of people shredding crocodile tears. The billionaires must be exposed for the cretins that they are. And then Candace says, Bibi Netanyahu also spoke about how he called Charlie 2 weeks ago to, quote, invite him to Israel. That phone call is lacking context. He should provide the proper context of what and who inspired him to make that call and exactly how Charlie replied to the invite. And then a random account says, surely his wife knew all this. She'd have to have been there when he was feeling pressured and upset. She would know exactly what's going on. And then Candace finally says it out loud. Erika knows everything. Dun dun dun. I wish I had a sound effect for this.
Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah, I mean, here we are. It's happening, everyone. And so, I saw Steven Crowder tried to reach out and create content out of the content, even though he called Candace Owens the C word the other day. But he tried to be like, hey, this infighting has to stop. Everybody, why don't you all come on my show so that I can get the viewers and the numbers? I invite Tucker Carlson. I invite Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro. All of you, we can all talk it out and we can be friendsies again instead of all fighting each other. And I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon, especially because, again, Crowder, like a week ago, you made a video where you called her the C word a couple times. So I don't think that she's rushing to get on your show. She doesn't need you. It's the other thing. Like, I have no idea what Crowder's actual live viewers are now because it's all on Rumble. And I mean, their metrics are bullshit. So I don't know what he gets. But I know for a fact it ain't anywhere clear the 150,000 regular live viewers that Candace Owens is getting.
About where Charlie's headspace was at before he died. And my favorite part of all of this now is watching them lose. The people who tried with all of the money in the world to artificially direct the markets toward them after Charlie died are losing, okay? The people who sold T-shirts, who got on stage and said they were Charlie's favorite pastor, America's pastor, I'm going to take over for Charlie. People who use their connections, their wealth to get themselves almost invited to be a part of Charlie Kirk's legacy. People that didn't even support Charlie Kirk while he was alive. The people who rushed to lie about me and Charlie's relationship, as close as we were. You guys are losing. I want you to know that because turns out the market is smarter than you are. I go back to that Taylor Lorenz tweet early on. She's a hardcore lefty, yet in the immediate aftermath of Charlie's death, she said, it's wild that Candace is the only right-wing figure that I've seen posting in a way where she seems genuinely devastated to have lost Charlie as a friend. Why did she tweet that?
Well, I think that's what everyone was saying. Because, well, one side of everybody who's supposed to be Charlie's best friends, closest confidants, and even family members, it seemed like they were immediately preparing for a giant spectacle. It's like, we got to have a stadium style, it's going to be like a WWE event, tribute to Charlie Kirk. Benny Johnson was already trying to sell billboards of Charlie Kirk to build in universities. Other people were selling T-shirts, statues. I think Ben Shapiro initially announced he was going to try and do like a Turning Point USA style cross college campus debate tour, in his honor, like all this kind of stuff. Like, it just seemed like every single person wasn't actually spending a single second to mourn him, which again is pretty wild. Because I can tell you from personal experience, like, I was so devastated when the world lost Michael Brooks that like it still almost brings me to tears to watch clips of that guy. And like, you know, I cannot think of a single leftist who would have thought like, you know what, now's the opportunity to start selling Michael Brooks t-shirts as soon as he died, let alone ever. You know, one of those things where it's like, it's just like so gross and in poor taste, because like I genuinely miss him, and I miss his voice, and I miss his like, you know, amazing, hilarious takes on daily events and helping make everybody feel more sane in a world where the news just gets uglier and uglier kind of stuff. And then meanwhile, all this was happening. She was the only one who posted video of like her and Charlie Kirk just having fun together. You know, being like, I'll always miss you, Charlie. And it's like the two of them, you know, dancing around. And don't get me wrong, these are all horrifying, horrible people. Okay, I'm not extending my empathy for a second to the world's bigots and racists and homophobes and fascists and then these just, again, vile individuals. But that was striking that, again, she seemed to be the only person at that time amongst all the right-wing pundit class who wasn't like, we are all Charlie Kirk, this means war, and that's why you got to spend $79.99 on my new Charlie Kirk steaks and stuff like that, where you're just like, wait, what the fuck? I mean, Jesus, the body's not even cold, and you're already all just trying to market yourselves off of him and his death.
Well, I have an answer for that now, Taylor, now that I'm seeing straight, because it's becoming very clear to me that Charlie was a product to everybody else. He was not a human being. He was a product that they felt that they had manufactured. That is my honest opinion, and I am entitled to that opinion, okay? And not only did they think that they had manufactured him, they felt that he was now malfunctioning.
Wow. I didn't expect her to basically reiterate what I was just saying there. I have not pre-watched this.
Functioning. He was malfunctioning. And we're not going to let this go. We are not going to stop speaking about this topic because I sense that we are getting very close because they are very angry. And we should recap very quickly the verifiable lies that we have thus far been told by Turning Point USA themselves, which apparently they're trying to say it's off limits. So now you can't call out all these lies that Turning Point USA has told you. This is what they're trying to struggle session us into because Erika Kirk is now the CEO, so they're off limits. So they're allowed to lie. No, that's ridiculous. We will not be following that. Here's our list, and this is
awesome. All I gotta say is keep going.
By no means definitive, okay? Just getting this together briefly. They told us these lies. The amazing, heroic, magnificent Mikey McCoy had blood all over him. That's a lie, told by Pastor Rob McCoy. Charlie was a committed evangelical who only liked Catholic architecture. That's a lie, told and reinforced by Alex Clark and Andrew Colvett. Lie number 3 is that Charlie's neck stopped a .30-06 bullet because Charlie ate salad, he had strong bones, it was a modern-day Christian miracle. That's a lie. The offender is Andrew Colvett. Another lie, Charlie never blinked in his support for Israel. Offender, Josh Hammer, Bibi Netanyahu, insert Zionist here, many Zionist, Christian Zionist influencers as well. That turned out to be a big lie, an unnecessary lie. Lie number 5, the magnificent Mikey McCoy called his dad first. That's a lie. Rob McCoy told that lie. Number 6 is Terrell, the AV guy, was told to remove the cameras by police. That's not true. I have every second of his moves. That offender would be Tyler Boyer, okay? He lied. Number 7, Terrell moved the SD cards because people were stealing hats. Question mark, Andrew Colvett, what if you were scared about people stealing? Maybe remove the cameras? Very expensive cameras would be the thing that they would steal. What are they going to do with your SD card? They're going to resell that? Like, that doesn't make sense. Those are pretty cheap, right? Lie number 8, Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk never had any bad blood between them. The offender there was Alex Clark. Ben Shapiro was on her show, and I don't know why she tried that little bit of propaganda when she knew that wasn't factually true. 9, Charlie established Doge, and that wasn't unusual. Turning Point financially audits the company every year since its inception. Lie. Doge was entirely different from the apparatus of financially auditing yourself, which is recommended and actually in some states required for a company that size. That's 501.
So you'll notice that she's going after every single fucking member of Turning Point USA, the organization right now, except of course, Erika Kirk. Because at this moment in time, it's still something that, like, that's a line that's really difficult to cross if you start actually, you know, attacking or going after a grieving widow, even amongst the right, you know, and I think even amongst her fans, she knows she's been playing that line very, very carefully. She's been very calculated in how she's been trying to take down Turning Point USA.
1C3. And 10, like I said, this is by no means a definitive list. Mikey McCoy was a hero that day. Now, you could say that's subjective, but I feel like that, like, objectively, to be a hero, you can't just make quick phone calls. I don't know. I not include 911 in that list. So I'm going to put that on our list of lies. Now we're going to learn some more things that are interesting and compelling. Now, remember, there was that mass panic about me telling the truth about how long it takes for campus events to come together, the schedule, how long, how early they will start promoting for people to buy tickets. I was on tour every single semester, okay, up until June of 2024, okay? And they were mass panicking about this. They were all coming out of the gates, Ali Stuckey, debunking. It was like totally bizarre, as if I didn't work for Turning Point and go on these tours with Charlie. And when people start panicking in that way, they're just alarms, okay? You have to think of these people as alarms, and you should understand.
And why is everyone getting so concerned? I think because at the end of the day, they can't control Candace Owens, right? Like, it doesn't seem like she's at all interested in whatever you want to consider the broader MAGA project. I think she's a little more clever than a lot of them, where she's like, I see the writing on the wall. MAGA will come, and at a certain point, MAGA will go. But I'm going to be the new queen of the entire right. And she's slowly rising those ranks, right? Again, she's made Ben Shapiro completely irrelevant at this point. I mean, he is bleeding subs, not just because of, you know, his battles with Candace Owens and losing them, but also his battles with, like, you know, the far right, the Groypers, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, a lot of them, I'm sure on a certain level, they keep trying to do these things. Like Steven Crowder tried last week to take her down. It was the biggest swing and a miss. It was such a swing and a miss that she didn't even have to respond to him. She didn't even have to do an entire, like, I'm now going to be doing an entire Steven Crowder takedown. She took him down years ago. She revealed that he was being like a weirdo, that they had done this, like, you know, New Year's special. And then right afterwards, he like slid into her like Instagram DMs and was talking about how good she looked and other shit like that. And then realized before anyone else did that he was actually going through a divorce at the time. And then actually was one of the people who was like, oh no, I knew about that. The writing was on the wall. I'm the first person who actually put two and two together. I looked it up and then noticed that him and his wife weren't following each other on Instagram, and I was like, oh my god, she's ruthless. And again, very, very dangerous. I want to stress that, right? But like, in terms of, you know, evil girl bosses right now, again, as long as she's going after the rest of the right wing, it's just, it's delightful to sit at the sidelines and watch.
And that you're getting close to something. And what I've learned has been pretty incredible. So going back to our timeline, I will remind you it was...
She's not an ally? Oh, no, God, no. No. I'm not one of those weirdos delusion like fucking Glenn Greenwald, who's basically just like, anytime someone says like a series of words in order, he's like, oh, okay, come on my show now. Hello, Nick Fuentes, welcome. Come on my show. You have said some things I agree with. And just what? Ignore the totality of his life of being a Nazi? In the case of Candace Owens, she's got to be one of the biggest queerphobes in all of right-wing punditry. All right, she has consistently said so many vile, horrifying, homophobic and transphobic things in her past. She is a career-long racist. Yeah, I have no illusions that she's suddenly on some level becoming left-wing. Quite the opposite, actually. I think again that she is coming for the crown. She again is trying to take it away from all of these, and a lot of them, in a lot of cases, men who just cannot, you know, understand why they're unable to control a woman in this case. Like, come on, we're all part of the right-wing movement. You should know your place, right? At the end of the day, come on, there's a hierarchy here. And Candace is like, yeah, the hierarchy's me, and then you. That's the new hierarchy.
July 18th, according to the local Utah News, they found this out. It was July 18th that UVU Turning Point chapter requested to have Charlie speak. That is very late in the day for a request. They're usually backed up entire semesters. Well, guess how quickly Turning Point headquarters not only approved it, but then sent people to campus to begin scouting a location almost immediately. In early August, within 2 weeks, they had boots on the ground and they were scouting for a location, and it gets worse, okay? I learned that after UVU showed them multiple options inside and outside, UVU recommended to Turning Point that they not hold the event in the amphitheater because of safety reasons. Not a good idea because we can't shut this area down. It's not a good idea because there's no control here. We cannot control the traffic, the flow of traffic coming in and out of this amphitheater. But Turning Point insisted that that was where they wanted to have the event. It was because Turning Point insisted that that event was then held outside. Now, I can tell you, having done these events, that was the first thing among.
Are we finally getting there? Is she going to start implicating Turning Point USA in his murder? It's just that I have no idea how far the rabbit hole is going to go. Every single other day, she does another like special and broadcast where all of a sudden you're like, God damn. The things that you are implying or suggesting, they're complete batshittery, by the way. I want to be completely clear. I am not a Charlie Kirk truther. I do not believe in the conspiracy theories. I think it's absolutely absurd to think that, like, you know, Israel would have taken it amongst themselves to try and, like, you know, coordinate with the president of the United States, let alone, like, Turning Point USA's own organization to potentially assassinate him. But that is the narrative that she's slowly starting to draw, right? In that, like, Charlie Kirk, all right, you know, while he was an avowed Zionist and you know, was very proud of that, he behind the scenes was starting to really question his Zionism and the U.S. relationship with Israel and how he was going to start talking about that. He wanted to platform Tucker Carlson more and was starting to introduce more of those beliefs into his own belief system. And it's also very suspicious if you start putting like to me, I'm like, this is so ridiculous. Like, again, if Israel wanted to assassinate a right-wing pundit, why would they start with, again, someone who on paper and front-facing was one of the most avowed Zionists you can imagine, right? Like Charlie Kirk was saying so many horrifying things, including like he would be in, presentations where he would have the microphone and he would be like, I mean, Palestinians, if you didn't want to get, you know, fucking bombed and genocided, maybe you shouldn't have attacked Jews. You know, he'd say shit like that. Like he was very, very cruel and wicked when it came to Palestinian lives in general. So I just find it so absurd. Why go after him when there are other pundits who have been of equal status and stature in the United States who are very anti-Israel coming from the right, you know, like Nick Fuentes is a really good example of that. But like a lot of other ones who are allowed on mainstream television and stuff like that. Like, you know, why hasn't Tucker Carlson been assassinated at this point? Or why isn't there a conspiracy to assassinate him? It's one of those things where, like, you know, conspiracy theories have to start out with parcels of truth in that, like, it is again, when there's an assassination of someone, especially when it's being done by a lone gunman who again had pulled off what many people consider to be a difficult shot, although, you know, marksmen will vary so far in terms of them saying this was an impossible shot. No, this is a pretty standard shot. It's not actually that hard if you know how to use a gun and have a scope and all that kind of stuff. But then other people, and again, people who know way more about guns than I do, have been saying, like, well, you wouldn't have had time to have done the shot and then taken the gun and then, you know, been able to wrap it up and then put it into your backpack and then been able to leave so that you would have been caught on the camera at that point. That doesn't add up. Like, again, a lot of those things are, you're just trying to craft a narrative out of, you know, little things where all of it is not definitive proof of anything. And then you have to add extra parts to the story, because if you start to believe that that gunman wasn't the actual person who shot Charlie Kirk, or may not have even been present at all, which is what some of the conspiracy theorists are saying, well, then you have to start adding well, then who did? And then who had a motive to? And then if they had a motive to, again, it's the kind of stuff you would have expected to see from the left or someone, but like it's been the left who have been pretty consistently just like, yeah, I mean, checks out yet another case, because there's been so many at this point of someone who came from a very pro-gun family, a Mormon family, a family that had, preachers and police officers who had been raised in a gun culture, all that kind of stuff. Like that, to me, it's not the most shocking thing in the world. Just like the attempt attempted Trump assassination was done by a kid who had a lot of gun experience, who had been raised in a Republican, MAGA, right-leaning family of Trump voters, who was, again, a Trump voter himself and was known to have very conservative beliefs. And his peers and his classmates said that even amongst, our conservative leaning, classrooms, he was consistently someone who was further to the right of other people. And then people are like, well, if he was a conservative and a right-winger, why would he shoot Trump? Or why would he try to shoot Trump or stuff like that? And it's like, a ton of reasons. Like, again, it seemed more like the signature of a school shooter than it seemed like the signature of someone who was intentionally trying to politically assassinate Trump. I think you'll see more and more of these where, because there's so much gun violence in the U.S., so many school shootings in the U.S., it's not exactly the biggest news story to shoot up a school anymore. And that's horrifying to say out loud, but it's the reality is that every other day, it's like a mass shooting. And a lot of the mass shooters, especially school shooters, they're usually inspired by other mass shooters and other school shooters, or the same way that incel violence is inspired by other incel, extremists and stuff like that. And so because they're constantly reading about these other people who now have a certain degree of infamy, which is why it's a really bad thing to actually say a lot of the shooters' names out loud to give them that kind of fame, they are looking for larger targets, and they're looking for larger events and stuff like that. In the case of the Trump assassin, that seems to be a lot of what the evidence points towards, way more so than it's like a conspiracy. That, the Trump assassin was either a plant who was, intentionally done to try and help galvanize voters, or that it wasn't a plant, but it was an extreme leftist or like a closeted leftist, or people are even saying that he was trans. Just all that weird bullshit is just that's all just conspiracy shit, trying to, again, fit in the parts of the story so that you can try and make more sense of the world.
Many that struck me as odd is anybody can just walk into that's the whole point of safety, is you want to make sure that these students, you're checking tickets, you have security looking at them up and down. Do they look weird? Who are we supposed to keep eyes on? This guy's weird. Let's watch this guy because he's mumbling to himself. The whole point of that, the reason why you feel safe going to a Turning Point event, is because not everybody can just walk up and sit down when they want to. Okay, you want to look people in the eye. Suddenly, that didn't matter to them. Turning Point insisted on having the event outside, despite UVU saying they communicated to them, they did not think the outside was the best idea because of safety reasons. So my question now is, which specific...
She has zero credibility? Absolutely. Yes. If that's not clear, I want to reiterate that. I'm not watching and enjoying Candace Owens' show because I think that she's actually in any way exposing something. I think it's utterly and completely wrong and absurd, and I want her to keep going, and I want her to take it to new, strange, batshit places. If she can eventually implicate the President of the United States, so be it. If she can throw Alex Jones in there for good mix, why not? I just keep on going. Where was he the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated? No one knows, right? Can you get someone to place him? Do we have a Google Maps pin? Do we know his location? I haven't heard anything about that. Unusual, isn't it, that Alex Jones has yet to speak about it? Where was he? Where was he present the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated? I mean, that's all you need to do. That's all it takes for a conspiracy theory. You need no facts. You need no real information. You need no evidence. You just ask questions. You're just asking questions. I'm just asking questions. And again, I'd like to know where Alex Jones was the day of, right?
Specific Turning Point employees went down and picked that venue outside. I want to know. In fact, I need to know, and I will know, right? If you know, send me a tip, but we're going to find out, okay? What's the events department looking like that does that? I know, by the way, that Mikey McCoy's wife is one of the events directors. Now, I'm not saying that she does.
You heard her, everybody. Go send your tips. Make sure that their fact-checking team has all the information they need to keep going.
Does campus events, because there's different departments. She might do the bigger events. But was she at all involved in planning this event? I want to know. She may not have been. I need to know, and I will know. And if you would like us to find out quicker because you have that information, please send us an email to moretips@CandaceOwens.com.
That is a strange implication she's made. Why would Turning Point USA pick that venue full well knowing that it wouldn't have been completely safe for Charlie? It's almost as if they had something... Wait, I didn't say it. Neither did she. You don't have to say it. That's the beautiful thing. You just put it out there and have people fill in the blanks.
com. Who were the Turning Point employees that were the boots on the ground that scouted that event and that location and insisted on the outside? The reason they gave them that they insisted on it was because they liked the place outside where Charlie could pull up, where the vehicles would be able to pull up. Makes no sense. I have gone through an unbelievable amount of kitchens. Doesn't matter where you pull onto the event to speak at a college campus. You're always walking through a kitchen somewhere on campus. So the idea that they liked where they could park their cars, it's not tracking for me. Okay, just
conclusive evidence. What?
It's not tracking for me. Something else that I want to say, because somebody may have more information that will make it easier for me, is that we randomly received a tip from somebody who knew Pastor Rob McCoy from Thousand Oaks, California, and they were speaking about just kind of the area and how tight-knit it is and the church. And they said, one of the things that's really weird is some of us have been speaking and we had never heard of a Mikey McCoy, like his son, Mikey McCoy. So I followed that tip pretty lightly. This is by no means like a deep search, but somebody on the inside of Turning Point told me that Mikey, or Michael, rather, is not his first name. It's a middle name, right? And I just want to know what his real name is because I am not letting go of this like Mikey investigation. Something just feels off to me. Totally. Rob and Mikey, something ain't right. It's not
Gotta
tracking.
Get to the bottom of that.
So if you have that information, please email moretips@CandaceOwens.com. Now, to my Turning Point USA people, I would like to give a special shout out to Dylan Erickson and Austin Erickson, the bros that work at TPUSA. I want you both to know that I am on to you. I have known every word that you have said about me, okay? And I had been investigating you guys for 2 months straight. Just so you know, like every word you're saying, I'm tracking, okay? Just wanted to do a live shout out to you guys because you're a major piece of this puzzle that I'm trying to put together. I'm aware of why Refi, the major sponsor behind
I've got to be honest, it's got to be terrifying at this point, knowing how powerful she's become when you get put on blast. I wonder, like, oh dear God, oh no.
Charlie and Dylan, your involvement, Austin, your involvement with bringing that sponsor on. Things got a little different once they were brought on. Demands got interesting. You are on my radar. You've been on my radar since you were involved in creating the lie, the alibi lie for the Hamptons retreat with Seth Dillon. You lied. Okay, Seth Dillon did press Charlie. Charlie himself described the Hamptons event as an intervention. And you felt
what's going on with the Macron litigation? Oh, she's fucked. If you want my prediction, it'll be settled out of court for an undisclosed sum and no admission of wrongdoing. That's probably the best case scenario there. Yeah, I mean, last I heard, Brigitte Macron had to submit evidence, and she submitted evidence to the court of proof of her sex, and everyone on the right was like, ew, gross, oh, no one wants to see that. And I assume they thought that it was like, because they're all just like, you know, TERFs and transphobes and stuff, they probably thought it was like, you know, pictures of her genitals or something like that. And no, what it turned out to be was photos of her being pregnant with her one of 3 children. It's just such, there's so many things you could have gone after Brigitte Macron for. Being a groomer and a pedophile would have been an easy one. There you go. But because again, all these people have transphobic fucking brain rot, they're all just sitting there being like, well, you know what? I think Brigitte Macron has a penis. What's my evidence, you say? There's not a single photo of her that exists that we have seen of her as a young girl. And it's like, that's what the basis of all the. Also, there's a picture of a relative of hers who is a boy who looks like her, a relative who looks like her. They're related, right? And there's no childhood photos of her as a girl, but there is. Here's one. But in that photo, is she really a girl? You're serious? She's making a whole documentary. Okay, and she's doing it again, and she's going again, and all right, yeah, okay. Becoming Brigitte, a 3-part documentary by Candace Owens. Enjoy. Yeah, it was her brother. She has 3 kids. Like, I'm sorry, unless you're willing to accept that men can also give birth, trans men, which is not what she does, right? Then at this point, you're categorically fucked because again, she's had 3 kids. But good luck, best of luck, and I'm sure it'll all go well. Keep on tweeting that Brigitte Macron has a penis. Keep on defaming the First Lady of France. I'm sure that'll work out.
Felt the need to insert yourself in to lie, and there has to be a reason why, right? We don't have to lie when we don't fear the truth. So I just wanted you guys to know that I'm on to you, and I don't know, because I felt like maybe you were just like, oh, she hasn't mentioned us. And like, I've got a whole file. We're going to get there. We're going to get to everybody. We're going to get to everybody. Anyway, to the Turning Point employees, also, I want you to be aware and very careful, because I know a lot of you guys are leaking to different people. Be careful leaking emails, okay? You can leak the content of the emails, but do not leak the actual emails themselves. Because
I like how she's just straight up throwing threats.
Alert us that they were running something through softwares, and it looks like Turning Point has implemented a software to track your email verbiage. Essentially, they can make it so like everybody's email, one word is different. So if that email ever hits the public, the actual picture of the email, they will know exactly which employee it came from. So leak the information, do not leak the actual email, or if you do leak the email, tell the people not to share the email, okay?
Wow.
I wish they put the same energy behind finding out who killed Charlie Kirk. Am I crazy? I'm crazy. I was like, they don't want people speaking about what's happening at the company that's supposed to be a charity interested in free speech and faith, and they're worried about what information getting out exactly. What are you guys so concerned about? I don't know. It's not making sense to me. It is kind of making sense to me, if I'm being honest, but we will just keep trucking along. Also, as we continue to paint this picture of the corruption of faith, right? TPUSA faith has got my attention. I learned that there was another pastor who's close with Charlie. We've received some emails about him, who had a family member who was present that day. And don't go away, because it's about to get interesting. We'll be right back.
Wow. She's Alex Jones here. Oh, yeah. I guess the difference is that, like, she's much bigger and more powerful, and she has a large section of people who actually believe what she says. The other wild thing is that, like I've said, if you wondered how exactly did she become so powerful, a lot of it has to do with the fact that she's really good at doing audience capture for other topics. She, after her leaving the Daily Wire, immediately started making content related to Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively and their trial, and her content on that became the largest, I think, content on the internet. Like, there's an entire phenomenon. This part's actually way less hilarious and way more sad, because like she's actually become a really powerful vector for recruiting women into the far right. A lot of people who are watching her videos on, Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and then like her, trying to do the whole conspiracy thing related to that, those videos were getting like top tier, some of the biggest and most viral posts in YouTube shorts and TikTok videos. And you would just watch those. Like, I had normies who have no idea who Candace Owens is be like, hey, have you heard about like the whole like the latest on the Justin Baldoni thing? Are you going to talk about it on your show? And send me videos, and I'd be like, this is Candace fucking Owens. She's an extremist. Like, this is a very, very far right individual. Oh, really? Oh, she's got really cool videos on this topic. She seems pretty normal. Well, yeah, because she's talking about celebrity goss. She's not talking about how, like, gay people live in sin, are not under the light of the Lord, and have to repent, and eventually we'll see and burn in the fires of hell. She's not talking about Christ as King. That's this is just like the Entertainment Tonight stuff. But that worked, and it blew her up, and she captured so many more viewers based on that, which is wild, because you'd be watching one of her videos on, like, Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and then the next one is about how Brigitte Macron has a penis. Then you'd have to watch an entire special about, like, oh my God, I had no idea. Yeah. And she's been hiding that from the world. And no one talks about this except for Candace Owens. And it's like, I think for good reason, because it's absurd.
First off, thank you so much to our patrons for making this show possible. We could not fund it without you. And if you want to join, please check out patreon.com/theserfs to unlock bonus episodes, uncensored content, and all the good stuff. Thanks to Anna Loves Riley, Addercap, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hegbard Salim, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet One 85, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demmel, Tigwick, and Words Greenwood.